All right. All right, we are recording. Christy, you're on.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to be here and to share with all of you. My name is Christy Flores, and I have the privilege of serving as the lead learner at Davis Magnet School, which is located in Newport Mesa Unified School District. Today, I'm going to be sharing strategies and tips and tools that I hope you can take back to your site, to your district, to your role, and that hopefully you can apply right away on Monday. So let's go ahead and get started. I think that what we have been doing as educators, especially the past 10 months, is nothing less than heroic. And what I would appreciate you doing is just by utilizing the chat, introducing yourself by stating your name, and then the superhero that corresponds with the role that you play. These types of conferences are not only a great opportunity to learn and to share ideas, but it's also a great opportunity to expand your professional learning network. And hopefully by attending this session, you are able to do that by meeting some other people. So for example, Christy Flores, Captain Marvel. So go ahead and you can add that in.
Hi, my name is Caesar Chacon. I see myself as the Hulk.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Caesar, for joining us. And I appreciate those of you who are entering in that information. It's a quick and easy way to introduce yourselves just within your chat. And I appreciate you joining me today. I will tell you, I shared this information at a presentation, or excuse me, at a conference last week through AXA Region 17. And so I'm excited to be presenting and sharing again this week. I will tell you, during my session last week, I had over 100 attendees. And one of the things that I did not do a very good job at is monitoring the chat. So Andrea, if you would do me a favor, and I have a lot of information to share within the next 45 minutes, if you'll help monitor the chat. And I'm really focusing on three main sections or three main groups that we are going to be supporting: our staff, our students, and our families. And so if there are any questions along the way, I'll briefly pause after each of those sections and address those questions. Sound good, Andrea? Perfect, thank you. So before we dive into those strategies and those tools, I really want to talk about why those are so important. And what we're really talking about today is developing and building a strong culture, a strong work culture, whether you're at the site level, within your classroom, at the district level, at a university level. And I want to share some resources that I've come across in the past few months. I don't know about you, but I am a huge fan of Brené Brown, and I especially enjoy her podcast, Dare to Lead. I listen to it on a regular basis, and I linked that here in this presentation. And two of the most recent podcasts that I've listened to hers were Brené with Eric Mosley of Making Human Work, and Brené Brown with Kevin Oakes on Cultural Revolution. And they shared some things that really stood out to me in thinking about our school culture. And one of the things that Eric Mosley specifically talks about is those companies who have deep-welled cultures outperform others. And something that I am incredibly grateful for and very proud of is the strong, positive culture that our team at my school, at Davis Magnet School, has created. I've had the opportunity to be the lead learner there for 8 years, and I'm really proud of what our team has been able to do. And I think that has helped us this past 10 months while we've been experiencing this pandemic. One of the things he also talks about is that companies are slowly decaying right now because Zoom interactions are strictly transitional. I'm not going to ask anybody to raise their hand if you've experienced that recently, but I have to believe that some of us in our recent work history have experienced it. So one of the things that they talk about is just the importance of relationships and building and emphasizing those relationships and how to keep those relationships strong, even when we're not physically together. They talk about, and it's just a great reminder for all of us, that we are moving through life at work. And oftentimes we forget about what's most important while we are working. And it's those life experiences. You know, I know my team and I, we have experienced engagements, we've celebrated babies, we've gone through divorces and loss of life, and just making sure that we're all there and recognizing those life experiences are really important. So thinking about a strong school culture, you know, there are a few things that really come to mind. Developing those strong relationships, the connections, but also building that trust. And I think that's done a lot by being dependable. I can say a lot of things to my team, but they're not going to believe me unless I back it up with my actions. And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some tools that I have used over time, but specifically over the past several months to keep our team together. And I'm first going to start off with how I've been supporting my staff. So I have over right around 500 students, preschool through 6th grade students who attend my school, and they come from all over Newport Mesa. I have the privilege of working with almost 70 staff members, certificated and classified. And my belief is if I can motivate, if I can encourage, if I can offer that support to my team, then that enthusiasm, that support is then going to carry over to all of our students. So thinking about what are some ways that I have been doing that in supporting my staff. Eric Mosley mentions a Harvard study in the podcast with Brene Brown, and that Harvard study shows that there's a higher efficacy of employees with regular check-ins. So one of the things that I have been using for the past few months is a Monday morning check-in form. And it's really simple. I do a copy and paste of this Monday morning check-in form, and I include it on my week at a glance. And it's an easy way for me to gauge just how everybody's doing. And I keep the same multiple choice checks here for everybody. And you have access to this. You can easily make a copy of it and adjust it for your own staff. This is the one that I sent out to my staff for Monday. I said, hey, we have 2 more weeks until President's Week. What are at least 2 things you're hoping to accomplish with your students before the break? And then I ask, who are you choosing to win the Super Bowl? Who are you going for? All right. And then anything else that you want to share with me. I don't have the opportunity to have the same types of conversations that I had with teachers when we were during our typical learning schedule. We're currently on a hybrid schedule, so our time together is very limited. But by using a quick and easy Google form to regularly check in with my staff, it gives me an idea, just one, of how people are doing. It gives them a safe and consistent platform to share with me things that are on their mind. But it also creates just like conversation starters where, you know, last week, one of the questions was, what did you eat for breakfast? And I just base it on the idea of, you know, they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I'm copying and pasting people's responses on our upcoming Wednesday agenda. Again, it's a little thing, but it's a great conversation starter. We've shared Netflix ideas, takeout ideas, but really building upon that Harvard study of just those regular check-ins and conversation starters. Other forms of communication and of keeping those connections strong with our staff members have included weekly team texts. When we moved into distance learning last March 13th, from March until June, I assigned myself 2 teams that I would text on a particular day. Now, within my school culture, we share and we text one another on a pretty regular basis. Everybody on my staff has my cell phone number, and I have theirs as well. And so, for example, on Monday, I would text my preschool team and my kindergarten team. And it was just, hey team, I hope you're ready for a great week. You got this. Remember, I'm here for you. Okay. Sent jokes. The best received one was when I sent the emoji of a unicorn with my voice, just giving a little pep talk. Okay. Other ideas include regular office hours. Last spring, we started a Flipgrid staff lounge. And again, it was just a great way to keep people connected so you could see one another's faces, hear each other's voices, but then to keep it easier on myself, but also to build capacity and to delegate those responsibilities, is I assigned a grade level to come up with the discussion questions each week for that Flipgrid. And then sometimes it's just really important to pick up the phone and to call your teammates. Other strategies that I've used, just want to share about staff meetings. I know sometimes that there's a certain stigma about staff meetings. I think staff meetings can be a great way to still just keep connected and to build that camaraderie and that teamwork. Something that I'm sharing with everybody within this presentation is I just created a Google Doc, and I went back and I was brainstorming various ideas about what have I done during our staff meetings. Something that I started, which I got the idea from a teacher on Instagram or Twitter, was having team jobs during my staff meetings. I saw a teacher was assigning jobs to her students, and every staff meeting agenda will include jobs. Again, it helps me because as I'm managing the technology, the delivery, the everything else that I know we're thinking about as we're leading meetings or leading our classes, it helps to delegate those responsibilities. It creates buy-in, builds capacity. One of my favorites has been DJ Pump This Party. I do not like the awkward silence at the beginning of meetings and when everybody is sitting there. I dread also the awkward silence when people are putting people into breakout rooms. And so my DJ Pump This Party, they know that they are to come to the staff meeting prepared and ready to play music. One of my teachers, she's a huge Dolly Parton fan. So a couple of weeks ago, we were sitting there in our staff meeting, and during those transitions, which could be awkward, instead, everyone was moving their head around, singing along to Dolly Parton. Other ideas that I included on here is you'll see, I think it's important to establish those staff norms and expectations, especially important to review and establish those online meeting norms. I'm not going to go through each of these, but just kind of want to briefly touch upon them. Mood meter and practicing mindfulness. I think it's really important for us to do that as adults, and then to model that for our students. During my staff meetings, whether they are in person or virtually, I prefer to have my teachers talking more than me. I really feel that, we have such an outstanding team and everybody is coming with so much knowledge and experience that it's important to be able to share with one another. And so really giving teachers the opportunity to share out, to connect, especially now that either we're on distance learning or hybrid learning and our models just are forcing us to be disconnected. I am a huge fan of themes, theme dress up days. I'm grateful that my team plays along with me in all of this, and wear your favorite Hawaiian shirt, crazy hat day. It's just a great and easy way to get people excited, to bring a smile to their face, but just to keep it fun. As I had mentioned, music and having a DJ as one of my class jobs. I'll have teachers create playlists. I'm fortunate that one of my teachers, Isaiah Olson, who's also on the OCQ board, is an extremely talented musician and also a fourth grade teacher at my school. He played the guitar for us one week during our staff meeting, but it was so great because it was just relaxing, stress-free, and just made people smile. Another idea is at the beginning of last year, I asked everybody to send me their walk-up song. If you're not familiar with a walk-up song, it's used in baseball, and it's the song that a batter will play across the stadium when they're walking up to the plate. So I told all my teachers, send me your walk-up song. It's just for our staff, so it needs to be, you know, school appropriate-ish. And so then we played a game of created a Google form, multiple choice, played the song, and it was name that teacher's walk-up song. Utilizing Google Forms for a variety of reasons, of posing questions, weekly reflection forms. This has been another way for me to just stay connected and to make sure everyone is feeling supported. I especially use these during distance learning. Because I'll tell you, you know, I have the Monday morning check-in forms. I have these weekly reflection forms. I'm not getting 100% from every single form, but I have enough touch points where I'm getting something from someone. All right, moving along, Wellness Wednesdays, again with music, exercise, playing different types of games. Again, just making it fun and creative because I want my teachers then to make it fun and creative for their students. Sometimes there are those meetings where you just gotta cover some pretty boring business stuff. There's no way around it. Using edible bingo cards, thanks to my friend and colleague who's here, Amanda, sharing this idea. It has made several meetings more engaging, where you just pick key words that you are going to be sharing and presenting in your staff meeting. And then whoever gets a bingo, you send them a $5 Starbucks card. Padlet has been a great brainstorming resource. Feed Your Soul. One of my teachers came to me and said that they had seen this at another school, and it's just an opportunity for teachers to spend time together, focusing on their own passions. So when we were in person, we were talking about having gardening time together, yoga, etc. But since our meetings have been done virtually, it was different trivia games, etc. But here you'll see different ideas as what you can do during your staff Feed Your Soul. And then just different ideas for around the holiday time to keep everybody spreading good cheer, keeping attitudes up, and keeping people engaged. And then the final idea for staff meetings is we've spent time periodically during what we've seen nurses do is called a hope huddle, that everybody shares, ends the meeting on a positive note, and to spread hope among the team. Okay.
So Christy, Sarah's asking if you can give examples of what you do, what your follow-up after these reflections are, what you do with those.
Great question. Okay, so my Monday morning check-in forms, I read through them each week, and the forms are super quick and easy to read through. Honestly, it depends on my week. Some weeks I'll send a quick email back and just, if they're asking me a question, I'll answer their question. Other teachers, when they're sharing, hey, I have these concerns, then those teachers who are expressing specific concerns, I definitely reply back to, and I follow up with either in conversation, email, or text. So it really depends. I read through them every week. Depending on timing, depending on the concerns, will depend on my response to them. Any other questions regarding the staff?
I think we're good.
Okay, great. All right, so let's move on to our students. One of the things that I think it's really important to keep in mind when keeping our students connected, especially over the past 10 months, is I've noticed that it's so important to just demonstrate that sense of calm, that our students need consistency and ways that we can keep them motivated. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing different strategies with you and how to keep them connected. A tradition that we've had here on our campus at Davis are our monthly Shoutout Awards. And so we just adjusted it slightly where teachers would complete a Google form nominating one student from their class to receive their monthly Shoutout form. They complete this form. My office staff will create the certificates, and then I hustle around on those shout out days and take pictures of the students with their shout out certificates. But then my favorite part is reaching out to the families, because the teachers will write a brief summary as to why they selected that student. So having the opportunity to connect the parent with the teacher to celebrate the student. And then I always include the picture. When we weren't on campus and when we were still in distance learning, I scheduled and hosted Shoutout Awards Zooms where we would mail the certificates to the students' homes, schedule a meeting. And it was so great because, you know, the parents are sitting in the background listening to their teachers talk about how awesome their kids were. Lunch Bunch or Breakfast Club is the same kind of idea, just a different title, with recognizing students for following our 5 core values, for demonstrating integrity, responsibility, and leadership. Surveys, I know many principals who have used Google Forms to conduct student surveys. I haven't used that yet because right now I don't have the capacity to read through all those Google Forms as far as what my students are responding back with. I'm really relying on my students or my teachers to keep those touch points going. But I will tell you that right now we are piloting something in Newport Mesa called the Wellbeing Index, where it's a simple 5-question form for our students to gauge their well-being. And then I've already met with my PBIS Tier 2 team to figure out, okay, now that we have this information, what are those SEL supports that we're going to put into place to support our kiddos? Book Talk Tuesday is another tool that I've used. And our school is a commuter school. And so what that means is that parents are responsible to provide transportation to our school. We don't have any busing except for our SDC preschool. So what we've historically done on our school campus is to have flag deck. Flag deck is like a daily assembly or gathering out on our blacktop where the students line up at their lines. I'm up there in the front leading the pledge, giving announcements, and so on. This was a real sense of community building. I've continued that on, but adjusted it where I'm recording daily video announcements that are sent out to the teachers, and they start each of their cohort sessions with my 2 to 4 minute video announcements. I was running out of things to talk about in my video announcements. I mean, there's only so many times I can tell people, hey, make sure your mask is covering your nose, wash your hands. It just gets very boring. Okay. So one of the things I added in was Book Talk Tuesday. And I would ask students to recommend books that they wanted to share with their fellow peers. And it's turned out to be a great way to keep kids connected but it also shows something that's really important to me, which is reading. And it's just really demonstrated to kids the importance of reading and continue to get kids excited about reading. And so this sweet girl, Tabitha, is a kindergartner. And she was so excited to share a book recommendation with me that she asked her mom to buy me a copy of her favorite book. And then she showed up to school with this little note that she wrote. But having these book talk Tuesdays, when I'm seeing kids at arrival and dismissal, kids will stop me in there and they'll say, Mrs. Flores, I have a book for you for Book Talk Tuesday. You gotta read this book. And so it's been really fun because I have kindergartners through sixth graders who are telling me about the books that they are reading and that they are getting excited about reading. Just like John Crippo, our staff has really utilized Flipgrid a lot. I know that the engagement level at the elementary site compared to the secondary site, being married to a secondary teacher, is very different. At the elementary site, kids love to see themselves on video and to record themselves. So it's been fun. Last spring, I collaborated with our PE teacher. I myself am a runner, and I worked with her and we created a 1 mile training Flipgrid challenge. And so it was myself, my PE teacher, and kids, they would get on Flipgrid and record and share what was their time that they either ran around their block or ran a mile with their family member. We had a virtual field day last spring where every grade level, the teachers created some type of physical activity, recorded a video, and then the students jumped in, recorded their own videos completing that challenge. The final one I have listed here is for those of us who are on campus in person. Had seen someone lead the game, The Floor is Lava. So I asked my custodian at each of our gates to place hula hoops and those little cones that you see. And so when our teams that were assigned to each of the gates were opening the car doors and inviting kids into our school, it was like, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Guess what? The floor is lava. You have to stay in the hula hoops to get to class. So it was on those days, typically a Monday, a Tuesday, when kids are like, oh, I don't want to go to school. No way. Get excited. And we had kids running, skipping, smiling to get into our school. Before I move on to the parents or guardians, any questions about students?
Yes, Shana asked where to find the 5-question indicator. Is that linked in your slide deck?
It is not. I don't own that one. So
how can people find it?
People could find it by sending me an email because I'm going to have to talk to our student services department. But send me an email. I don't have it included here, and I include my email address at the very end.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll give you because I'm trying to remember the questions. It's something like even as simple as, you know, I am eating healthy foods. I feel good. It's more just kind of like those feeling types of questions, but shoot me an email and I'm more than happy to send you those specific questions.
Thank you.
Anything else before we move on? All right.
You have 15 minutes.
Okay, super. Sarah, I see your hand up.
Yeah, do you guys, who uses that information? Is it just for you, or does it go to the teacher? Is it go to the teacher and then you? I'm just wondering how, like, who's actually analyzing it?
Yeah, good question. So I'm analyzing it first with my tier 2 team, which includes my school psychologist, our behavior specialist, and my PBIS coach. We're analyzing it. And then we're sharing it with the teachers, the individual teachers, and then we're also going to be looking at it as a school-wide team so that we can see, you know, within the classroom, just those feelings of students. but then also school-wide. And really, it's to give us, we've been struggling our kids are in our classrooms for 2.5 hours. It is super focused that I know my teachers are working so hard to get through those standards where, in the past, we're not having the opportunities like we did to have conversations, to make those observations of kids at lunchtime, out at recess time, and even within the classroom. And so, I've been really proud of our team as far as what we have done in supporting our students with social and emotional learning. And so we're just trying to get creative here as to how we're getting that information. I also like this one too, because it only has 5 questions. We've used universal screeners in the past where it's just a long list of questions. But this one I think is really simple. It doesn't take that much time, and it just kind of gives you a little snapshot of how the students are feeling. Anything else before I move on? Okay, great. So let's move on to our parents and our guardians, our families. So as I had mentioned about Flag Deck, this was our first day of school last year. So we have a really large and involved parent community. And one of the things that I have realized, over time, is just like in keeping our families connected. First of all, it's got to be easy for our families to use. Parents are so overwhelmed. So making sure that just that ease of use, staying calm and just projecting that calm, like, hey, we got this. Even though I might be really stressed or worried, just presenting to them, we're here for you, we got it, and just continuing to be positive and reliable. So some strategies that I've used to support our families. If you are not familiar with S'more newsletter, I would strongly encourage you to check it out. This thing has saved me so much time. And I understand that there is an educator upgrade that you can pay for. I've been paying $100. Apparently there's one for $150 that offers all these other bells and whistles that I'm going to be upgrading mine to. But it really takes content and information and makes it look really good without you having to do much. So I've been using S'more for a couple of years now, and I used to have a monthly newsletter called the Flores Flyer. One of the things that I like about S'more is that I can see how many people have viewed my newsletter. Now, this one I put out to our families and to the community right after we closed down, because I knew that people were panicking, myself included. But I wanted to reach out to them and just remind them, like, we are here for you. We are going to be working with you to support your kids. And so really it took all of my thoughts and ideas and it organizes it in this nice, neat, easy to use. I'm not having to search or put this together. It's super simple to use. Okay. So I used to run a monthly newsletter. I changed that just because of our communication. We used to have Thursday folders that went home at Davis. And now I send out weekly emails. So it's that weekly information. I just sent this out this past week, and I can tell, all right, 230 of my families have read it already, which is good. I'm going to continue to send out just reminders to make sure that they have the information of what's going on. But if you haven't used S'more, strongly encourage you to check it out. Offering Zoom meetings, obviously with parents. I've conducted and sent out a couple of surveys and just really left it pretty simple and asked them questions of what's been going really well, but then also based on your family's experience during the first trimester at Davis, what ideas do you have to help us improve? I'm not looking for people just to give me their list of complaints. they have complaints, then I'm looking for what are your ideas to help us improve. And so just being mindful of my language here and then giving them the option. I had several parents fill it out the first trimester. Since I'm not able to have those typical conversations, gave me ideas as far as, what can we do to improve? How can we help their family experience get better? Social media has been an easy way for me to stay connected with our community. If you've had the opportunity to listen to George Kuros present, he is fantastic. And one of the things he talks about is just sharing the positive on social media. People are going to talk about our schools. I want to give them the information that I want them to be talking about. So really highlighting what's going on around campus, celebrating our students, just easy ways to keep people connected. And then my final tool that I want to share with you is a staff shout out form. I got this from another principal, and this has really been one of my favorite things to implement. And so again, you can copy this and adjust it for your own staff. And I share this in my weekly newsletter that goes out to families. But what it does is I have every single staff member listed here. And so they get to choose the staff member, and then they write in, how has this person improved your experience at Davis? What would you like them to know about how they have helped you? And then do you want them to know your name? I have an email a generic email that I already drafted. I do a copy and paste of this information and then send it to this staff member. This is a great way to end my day or my week, because I love just passing along that positive information from the parent and just giving that staff member the kudos and to know, like, hey, people are seeing you. People really appreciate the work that you are doing. So I've just shared a lot of different ideas and strategies with you over the past 40 minutes or so. I think it's really important as you take these ideas and really, as you're taking these things on, you have to ask your question, what is sustainable? I have come up with a lot of ideas and failed at them because I have not thought of what is sustainable and able for me to juggle and fulfill with all of the other responsibilities that I have. So really being mindful of, if I'm adding something more to my plate, is there something that I am taking off so that I can sustain this, this action? Also asking yourself, what's the purpose of it? What are you hoping to accomplish? What resources do you already have? Take these and make them your own. And then what kind of support do you need in order to continue to offer that support to the staff, to the students, to the families that you are working with? And then finally, as I mentioned, please feel free to reach out. I am so grateful to be able to work with such amazing colleagues and friends, and also to get so many great ideas off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And, if you have questions, if you want to brainstorm, please reach out to me. I would love to collaborate with you. And I think I have 7 minutes now, so I'm happy to open it up for just any questions. I see a hand up, Jennifer.
Christy, for the s'mores, the online, does that automatically translate into Spanish for families, or would you have to type it in English and then in Spanish?
I do believe, and if there's somebody on here who has used s'more and had it translated, please speak up. I have not had to translate mine, but I do understand that there is a version. It's my understanding that it does automatically translate for you. You might have to
the
pay.
upgraded version.
It does.
The upgraded? Because I know my
It does.
principal uses
Yeah.
it for our newsletters, but not for parent newsletters, and we're primarily Spanish speaking.
The only thing in the S'more that won't translate is if you put like a picture, if you're putting like an image in of like with words in it, it
Mhm.
won't translate that image. So I always just put 2 images side by side with the same in English and Spanish.
With like the caption, is that what you mean? The caption won't change into Spanish?
No, anything you type into S'more, it will translate. But if
Okay.
you're uploading a picture or uploading
Oh, like a
I'll
PDF
do like
or
a
something?
right,
Okay,
like a
okay.
flyer for
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
I always
okay,
put one in Spanish too, because it doesn't translate those.
all right. Christy, also, would you be willing to share the acts of kindness bingo card that you had on your S'more?
Oh, yes. Did I include that on there? Let me go back and look.
I found it in the S'more, but I would love to edit it because we're going to be doing our acts of kindness this coming week.
You bet. You know what I'll do is I will, during the break, I will hyperlink it on my presentation.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay.
I really appreciate that. I love it. So it's something
Good.
you could use.
And you know what, Jennifer, just to make sure it's clear, I'll hyperlink it on the student because it's really a way to keep students connected.
Okay.
I'll add it on the student slide.
Okay, I have your slide deck open, so I'll be looking for it.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Anything else?
This was great, Christy. So many wonderful ideas.
Thank you. I hope it's helpful. I really appreciate everybody attending, and feel free to reach out with any other questions. Again, as you're kind of processing and going through it, because I know we're all going to get a lot of great tools and information today. So as you step away and you process it, feel free to reach out with any questions.
Thank you, Christy.
You bet. All right.
You're getting lots of thank yous in the chat. I don't know if you can see that. So,
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, team.
So the schedule's been updated. If you go ahead and refresh on the website, you'll see the next session starts at 11:25, and go ahead and pick your next session. Glad to have y'all. Leave